Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of Just Real Quick. I got all my boys in the house today. Obi in the studio, and I got Andres and Jared on the Zoom call. So we're going to splice all this together. It's going to be amazing. Today, we're going to cover a lot of information in a short period of time on the most common objections and rebuttals that we get out there on the doors for our coordinators. So this is going to be gold. Watch through this whole thing, take notes, get as much value as you possibly can. I got all the OGs in the company here with me today dropping bombs. Let's roll.
Let's do it.
Get it done.
Let's get it done, son. Okay, so, what would you guys say is the most common rebuttal? Like just initially on the doors. Hey, I'm not interested.
Yeah,
I'd say so. Yeah.
You're gonna hear.
Yeah. So, and I think the most important aspect of rebuttal, objection handling, obviously would be acknowledgement, right? You got to acknowledge it. Because if you don't acknowledge it, the customer, like psychologically, they're just going to be like, oh, this guy's a jackass. Like, I don't want to listen to him. But when you acknowledge them, it allows them to be like, okay, well, at least he's listening to me. And it can be as simple as just repeating back what they said. Hey, I don't have a lot of time right now. Hey, I understand you don't have a lot of time right now.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Our coordinators, all the new ones that come in, they have to learn is we're there to solve problems. That's why we're knocking on their door in the first place. So just being able to listen to somebody, that lets them know right off the get-go, hey, I'm listening to what your thing is. Let's find out what I can do to help you with this. That's the only reason why I'm here in the first place.
Yep. Cool. So say, for example, like I like to use a process called ABQ, and I put an S on the end of it. So it's an acknowledgement of the objection. It is value would be V. So then you build a little bit of value. Q would be question. So you ask a question. And then I like to put S on it because it gets you right back on script. So it could be something as simple as, what the customer says, hey, I don't have a lot of time right now. Oh, I completely understand you don't have a lot of time right now. Just to let you know what we're doing in the neighborhood. We're offering a 50% off for energy efficient windows. How long have you guys been in the home for? Oh, we've been in the home this
long. A little bit of value, right?
Yep.
And lead them back into it.
Lead them back into it. And then the reason why you ask the question is because that kind of takes control of the conversation and it engages them as well. So something as simple as how long have you guys been in the home for? Oh, 5 years. Okay, great. And that's why I stopped by. I mean, I don't know if you would say that at that point, but it's like, okay, great. And then you just get right back on script. So the reason I stopped by is, we're doing a retail campaign 3 to 4 months from now. It's my job to come out in advance, select 1 or 2 homes we can use for advertising. That helps us display our energy efficient replacement windows while we run that retail campaign. Mm-hmm. So you just get right back on the script. Mm-hmm. And maybe if they're like, hey, I'm not interested, same thing. Hey, I completely understand if you're not interested, just to let you know what we're doing in the neighborhood. We're offering 50% off discount energy efficient windows. When was the last time you guys looked? I don't know what the question would be there. What would your guys' be
how
like
I
an
would
example?
do it if someone's like, I'm not interested, I just go to a pullback. Like, oh, absolutely. This might not even be for you, to be honest, right? The reason I stopped by is because I noticed you have the original windows in the home, but you have a very good looking home, and this is what we're doing. And then I go straight into the script.
And the big thing there is that usually when they're saying they're not interested is, typically our best customers are the busiest. They're the shortest on time. They've got a lot going on. They got the kids screaming in the background. They're also the best customers though. And at that point in our presentation at the doorstep, they really don't have any idea what we're doing yet. And if you're just going to give up on every single one of those, you're going to lose a lot of opportunities. But I love that approach that Andres said, because you can do a little pullback and then they're curious. And then just so you know what we're doing out here, and then you just jump right back into the script and get some of that value out so they can start to understand what we're actually here for. Then, I can understand at that point if they're not interested. But at early stages of the script, if they're saying that, then they don't even know what they're not interested in yet. And it's your responsibility as a coordinator to be prepared and to be confident enough to have those things teed up to be able to get back into it, to get far enough into the process so they can understand if they are interested or not.
I like that too, Andres. Just acknowledgement.
There's 3 things, right, that I have all my coordinators. It doesn't matter if it's not interested or whatever. They got to know we're replacing windows. We're not washing windows. We're doing window tint. They got to make sure we're doing a discount as well, right? Those are going to be the most important. If you're knocking a door and they're saying not interested, but they don't know you're doing windows or they don't know you're doing a discount, you're doing you and that customer a disservice. Because you knock on the door and you just wasted everybody's time.
And
so that's the main thing. You got to get that information out.
Not only that, you've wasted a good lead. You know what I mean? Who knows if they actually need windows, because they might just think you're a solar or a pest guy like everybody else. So you've lost the sale that's possible.
And another thing that I remember coaching my team to be like, hey, if they don't know that you're replacing windows, that there's a discount, or that they're energy efficient windows, and that like they save 40% on energy, like they don't know those things, and you're just getting off of the door. Like, how are you expecting to have any success? I remember talking to Cole about that. And then he literally was in Boise, and lady was like, I'm not interested. He's like, well, hey, we're doing energy efficient replacement windows. They save 40% on energy. We're giving them half off. She's like, oh, really? And then he set an appointment and it closed.
That happened last time we were at Bullhead City for the kickoff, and I was knocking with Ethan, the same exact thing. He's like, I'm not interested. And I was like, I understand. I wouldn't be interested either. You don't know what I'm doing. But I just want to let you know I'm offering 50% off energy efficient replacement windows. Windows? Wait, hold on, come back. And she puts her dog inside, let me talk to you. Let me show you what I got. And Ethan watched it happen and then turned into a self-gen close.
Amazing.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Okay, so just kind of like, I guess what I'd like to do is kind of work through what the normal objections are, like early part of the script, maybe to middle part, and then end part, right? So I don't have a lot of time. I'm not interested. Those are some big ones that are going to show up at, middle or the beginning section.
Yeah.
As far as ones in the middle, I mean, what do you guys think would be something, I guess, would come up in the middle?
How much for this window right here?
That's a good
one.
Yeah.
That's probably the most prevalent one. Well, how much? Yeah, give me a rough estimate about what you would think this window right here would go for.
I mean, I know you know your price well enough. You can give me a ballpark, right?
Yep. Give me a ballpark. So for the coordinators, obviously we're not training them on how to give pricing or anything like that. So, again, we always want to acknowledge. So, hey, I understand you guys want me to give you a price right now, but I'm just here to coordinate and set up a time for my director to come by, and he'd be the one to actually go over that with you. So, and then what he does is he shows you, and then you just go right back into script. He shows you a sample window, qualities and features, etc. And then you get to the point where you just try to set the appointment,
Yeah.
So
and there's a lot of there's a lot of objections in the middle that all involve time. I think just not having enough time. Give me a card. I have to go. Anytime you knock on somebody's door, they want to get you out of there as quick as they can. So I don't have a lot of time. So just give me a card, give me some quick info. Just come back later, right? So they just want you off the doorstep. So I think that's another big one in that middle last part of the script, where they want to be nice enough. We're in Utah. Most people are pretty nice, but they don't want to tell you no.
Yep. So if they just say, hey, can you just give me a card?
Yeah.
That would be a big one to cover, because I know these guys run into that all the time.
Yeah.
So something that I would do is like, I absolutely have a card. Just to kind of finish what I was talking about, or let me backtrack. So I'll be like, I absolutely have a card. And sometimes what I do is even pull it out. I don't give it to them. And then I pulled it just to let you guys know like exactly what's going on. And then I'm holding the card there in my hand. And then I'm just back to script, just like normal. And then I go to set the appointment. And then if they're like, oh, well, can I just get a card? Then, I mean, obviously you want to have urgency all built into it and all of that stuff. But sorry, we got a service project going on out here, so it's kind of loud, getting distracted. But what are some stuff you guys would do for, hey, can I just get a card?
I think kind of similar to Jared. I always hold the card. I take it out, right? I'm listening to them. Hey, guys, absolutely. Let me give them my card. And, it sounds like you guys are kind of interested, right? If you're open-minded, most people are. We're doing some non-obligation appointments here in the neighborhood. Okay, in the next 2 days, like I said, we're looking for a couple of at-homes, right? I think you guys could really benefit. My director's going to be doing this appointments anyways. Takes about 45 minutes to an hour, and you just go straight script and still try setting them as you're writing your name. Because I would never write my cards beforehand. I'm always writing them as I'm in their door. It gives you a little bit, like an extra 30 seconds, and you can actually set them as you're doing the card. If you do the card and you reach out to them and give it to them, they're going to grab it and they're going to say, okay, I'll call you. So you always got to make sure you hold back to that card. The second you reach out, because they might even reach out to get it, but if you're holding it over here, they're not going to take it away from you. So that's really good.
I've always liked having my cards pre-made. That way I can keep my eyes on the prize, and it doesn't take away. If somebody is in a big hurry and I have to write a card out in order to get it to them, that's just something that I've always gone away from. I want to hold it and control the conversation, but I don't want to keep my eyes off of them. You know what I mean? And I don't want to lose that person because they don't have time to talk, or now they're aggravated and they don't want to listen to anything else because they're trying to go get kids in the back, or they got something's burning on the stove.
Yeah.
Like that. With me, I just hit them with, I understand, sounds like you might be interested if you guys checked out Windows. I like to do a lot of probing when I'm on the door. I want to ask them questions. I want to have a conversation, and then get back into the script. What do you got going on? You know what I mean? It sounds like you're interested. Let's see what we can do for you. I've already set up a couple in your neighborhood. Look, I can't hold this out for anybody else. My directors are coming today and tomorrow. They will sell your neighbors if you're not interested. So my thing is, I just want to help you guys out. I know you got bad windows. This one's got fog in it. You know what I mean? Let's just see if it makes sense for you. Is your spouse here by chance? So I can get them both on there. You know what I mean? Because I want to build urgency into that. The worst thing I want to do is leave a card and nothing's there. You know what I mean? If I'm leaving a card, it's because I'm going to come back and talk again later. So then I would set a follow-up. Say, hey, I'll come back and talk to you guys later, but here's my card, and then go through everything as well.
Yeah. And I think that's really big, Obi, because the main thing with rebuttals is that asking questions, right? Anytime you get anything, ask a question, right? Like what it can be literally any objection, but you follow it up with a question. Like Jared said, you're controlling that conversation, and then you're having a conversation. You're not just saying a script. People are like, oh, this guy's trying to sell me something. You're having a good conversation with people. You have fun with it, right? Talk about a whole bunch of stuff. But I can't tell you how many times people are like, I don't have a lot of time. And then we keep talking for like 10 minutes, right? So it's just a small. So I think that's a big one.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm just trying to review some different rebuttals to see maybe what would be applicable to kind of the middle. And I guess, those are kind of the main ones that we'll run into when they start getting into like spouse objections. Right. So they're just like, oh, I'm the decision maker. My wife doesn't need to be here. So it's really just like, I understand that you're a decision maker, but we actually have tons of customizations and options, and we really want to make sure everyone's on the same page. So what's a time that's going to work for both of you?
Yeah. And then I think a big one too, Jared, is I think recently a lot of people are like, I can't afford it. I've looked into it before, right? I kind of know what Windows go for. I don't think I can afford it. I don't think most people even know that you can even finance most of the time. Right? They're thinking I gotta come out of pocket 10 grand to get Windows, but they have no idea. We have some of the best financial options out there. You give them a really low payment, right? They're paying $400 or $500 in energy bills, but you're saving $200. Dude, you're set. You know what I mean? And you don't even have to worry about coming out of pocket $5,000, $10,000, $15,000.
Yeah, that's usually what I would go with too, Andres. Is financing options to help you get a low payment.
Okay, what else you got, Jared?
Hey, before we move too much further, I was just listening to one of Drake's recordings earlier today, and he had one where a customer asked him how much this window would be. And the way that he handled it was phenomenal. And I was trying to get my Bluetooth working. I couldn't get it to work, but I'm just going to hold this thing up here so we can listen to this thing for a second. This is a great example.
About how much would the windows be after all of that? So it's hard for me to say just because we go off square inches. So that's what I've got a marketing director. He comes over, gives you a short presentation. He brings a sample window so you can see it in person. And then he measures all your windows, and then he sits you down, goes over and gives you the loads that we can do your home for as one of our advertising homes. Okay. The reason I don't do pricing is because they're all based on sizing, and there's so many different options that you can choose from. I understand if you can. No, I mean, how many windows do you have? Yes, it's really difficult, and that's why we structure it this way. I come out give some basic information. If you are interested in learning more and getting,
See, jump back into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He
Solid.
just skated around it. He did exactly what he should have and referred to his director. This is why we have it set up this way. It's all based off of United Inches. So it's really hard to say. There's so many different customizations and options that we could go through during the appointment that I couldn't say anything accurate right now anyways. And then if you were interested in looking at it, then he just jumped right back into his appointment. So that one,
Yep.
because it's such an important one and you're going to get it probably as much as anything else, that one you got to practice, drill, rehearse, have something prepared, have gone through it and drilled it so many times that as soon as it comes up, there is no hesitation and you know exactly what you're going to do and what you're going to say.
I feel like you have to have confidence too, because those guys are usually your bulls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't bullshit me. Tell me exactly what this is. How much is this window? I know you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to hold strong no matter what. And you can't let your face say anything different other than I literally can't. That's what my director is for. I think confidence in that and understanding how that works is huge, along with the tracks.
Oh, absolutely. And another one, guys, is we talked about, well, my spouse doesn't need to be there, but also we have the objection of, well, I need to talk to my spouse first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, that's one where it's like, well, hey, absolutely, completely understand you want to talk to your spouse first. We actually want you both to be a part of the whole process, and we need you both to be there for the appointment. So then you just get right back to the appointment time. Try to set an appointment for them both to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that's not working, you can try to call or have them call the spouse right there on the door. Something that's also, if that stuff's not working, something that's also worked really well with that is just to set up really solid follow-up. It's like, okay, you can't get it nailed down for appointment. Okay, what time does your husband usually get home? Oh, that way I can swing by, just make sure that get him on the same page with everything that's going on.
Yeah. A word track I like using is, what are they going to say, right? What do you think your spouse is going to say about setting up an appointment? Oh, well, they're going to be, oh yeah, let's set it up. Or they're going to be like, oh no, they're pretty tight money. It kind of tells you where they are, right? Most of the time, because when you ask that question, is you're trying to find out where they are more than the spouse. And there's two ways you can do it, right? The right way would probably be set a follow-up and go back, talk to the spouse, and you can have both of them bought in. Because if you can set the one spouse, you only have to set the other one, right? And a lot of people, they do like a tentative appointments. That's pretty weak. So I would always do with the follow-up first. And if you absolutely can't do it, then send the appointment later. But follow-up, you're going to have a much solid appointment instead of you having 5 tentative appointments and they all fall through.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that definitely comes over time as you build confidence. You can direct the conversation and very confidently say, what do you think your spouse would say about setting an appointment? Or, why don't we just call him right now? I've seen multiple guys that would just say, let's just call him right now. Is he here? Let's go grab him real quick and let's just see. That's what I do. I mean, I'm always trying to figure out if they're there, if they'd be open to just a quick phone call, and I can get them on speaker right there while I'm at the door. I've set dozens of appointments that way. But that's just like the next level of confidence and awareness. And you got to be present right there in that moment, thinking through all the different scenarios that are going to give you the best opportunity to get this thing closed. Because obviously the wife is thinking about it, but she's got a bull husband that's going to give her a hard time if she sets an appointment without asking him. So let's talk to him. Let's hurry and ask him, make sure it's okay.
And I think it's really important too. Like if you're asking the guy to come to the door, like make sure he comes to the door before she says something. How many times have we seen that? Hey babe, you want windows? No, she doesn't want windows, or vice versa. He doesn't want windows. Like, oh shit, they didn't even listen to anything I had to say. They had to like really make sure you phrase it like, hey, let's call him. Yeah. Put it on speaker so I can talk to him. Or hey, can you bring him to the door so I can tell him what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I know you've heard it, but you don't know it like I know it.
Yeah. And even if they do say that, and this has happened to me several times too, where they'll just yell inside, honey, you want windows? No. It's like, well, do you mind grabbing her real quick? I can just run what I just said by you real quick, because she doesn't have any idea what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how many I've saved that way. But that's another one of those situational things that you have to be really confident to be able to say that. And it takes practice, takes repetitions, and you got to have some guts and a lot of confidence in saying right after that whole scenario just happened, do you mind just running and grabbing them real quick?
Yeah.
This will take another 30 seconds. I'll just explain to them exactly what I explained to you. And I understand if you guys aren't interested, but just so you guys know what we're doing out here.
Yeah, for all those new coordinators, it's boldness at first, right? Like you just got to get some balls about you real quick. And then as you do it a couple times, that confidence is just there every single time. You know, it's not a big deal.
And what better feeling than when you set an appointment with both spouses on the door?
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, that was solid.
Yeah.
Feels so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like you can, when you're leaving your notes, that's when it's like both spouses were there. Both seemed like they were a 10 out of 10 on the interest level. I got them both on the same page, and they are both committed to being there at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Those are the best notes to read when you're going to run an appointment. It's like, boom. Yes. Kyle said another slam dunk. Let's go.
All right, guys. Now, I think we mentioned it, but we didn't get in depth on it. You know, if they think it's too expensive or, you know, Windows costs too much. So again, it's like always acknowledge it. Hey, I understand, you know, you think Windows might cost a lot, then it's value statement. But like I mentioned, we're offering that 50% off discount. And we have tons of options for, you know, financing, zero money down, stuff like that. So then you just get right back into your script and setting the appointment.
Yeah. You know, and asking questions too. Like what makes you feel like it's unaffordable to you? You know, have you ever checked out Windows before? Is this something you've gone through? Get you a little more information so you can get your director lined up accordingly, right? If they've already gotten a bid from a certain company, we can go in there with ammunition ready for that. You know, just like when they were up in Spanish Fork and they were getting bids from a different company that was charging a whole lot less for a whole lot less service. You know what I mean? And we already come in there now. We always come in there pretty ready for it anyways, but anytime you set your director up with more information is always best. So just asking, and more times than not, you'll be able to solve your own problem or their problem just by asking them, you know, or you can avoid setting an unqualified appointment by just asking that. And somebody that's really broke will just tell you, I flat out, like, I just filed bankruptcy. I couldn't get a loan if I wanted it. My credit score is at 400. You know what I mean? And then that way you're not setting something up that you know is going to be a credit fail right off the get-go.
Yep. You want to have the reputation of setting up solid appointments, and to be able to have a reputation like that, you got to have an arsenal of questions to qualify the customers. And that is, you know, there's not very many things. This really isn't all that complicated. There's just a handful of things that you need to know and memorize and have ready to deploy when you reach that level in the conversation. And that's a great one. If you're picking up on it, that these people are, you know, they may not be in the best financial situation right now, but you said it anyways without asking any of those questions, you are developing a relationship with your director, and it's up to you whether it's a good one or one that's not so good. And you certainly don't want to have a reputation of setting appointment after appointment that's one-leggers and a bunch of broke people because you haven't gotten around to asking those important questions to qualify them yet.
And those ones will be the ones that cancel too. They won't even answer your phone call, or they'll just ghost the director when they show up. And that's the worst. Showing up to an appointment that just ghosts you because they're too scared to tell you.
You've been planning on this appointment all day.
Yeah.
Something else could have been planned right there.
As a primary, you know, as a first director, the person, so maybe the other guy running second, you know, the second confirmed appointment is the one that gets to run the appointment because yours ghosted when we could have solved that right off the get-go, you know?
Yeah. And it goes back to just saying scared. You know what I mean? You gotta have that confidence every time, how you're talking, what you're saying. If you're scared because this guy might cancel, or he might not want to run the appointment, right? That is not a good appointment. It's pretty simple, right? Like if you're scared that maybe he's not gonna want to do an appointment. That's not the customers we want. Yeah. That's the customer that if we sell him, he's gonna buy 6 Windows, Energy Plus, and he's gonna be calling us every single day because of this, because of that. Yeah. Right. So every time you gotta go in there with a lot of confidence. Like, this is what we're doing, and just you're gonna be pretty blunt with people. I do this training with all my coordinators, right? Every time you can pretty much say anything at the door, right? So if you're trying to disqualify them,
saying it with confidence
and a smile,
and a smile always, right? Yeah, yeah. So that's the main thing. Just don't get scared, right? If I'd rather have 2 appointments run than set 5 or 10 and then have 1 run, or you can have 5 run and all go red.
Yep.
Right.
And the difference is in the qualifying questions and being thorough and painting the picture And sometimes if you've got a question whether or not this is going to be a little bit of iffy appointment, you just reiterate a couple of things. Just reiterate that we are going to ask you to make a decision right there on the spot. These are first come, first serve. They usually go really quickly. And, you know, it doesn't make sense for everybody. I'm not sure if this is going to be for you or not, but just wanted to clarify that this is something that we're going to ask you for a yes or no right there on the spot. And if they start him-hawing and it's really uncomfortable all of a sudden, listen, I don't want to make this uncomfortable. And if it's not good timing, I understand, and ask some more of those qualifying questions about their financial situation. If the spouse is going to be there, sometimes you can disqualify them right there and do it smart. It's not like you're trying to disqualify people on purpose and we're going to lose chances, but you're also thinking about these important things in the dynamics of your team, like the relationship that you have with your director. And is this an appointment that I would run personally, that I'm going to drive across town to take my time out of my day to go run this appointment? Those are the kind of things that we want all of our coordinators to be thinking about, taking responsibility and taking some pride in the appointments that they're setting and caring about the relationship and the credibility that they have with their directors.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we got another one on here, something that I'm sure they come into quite a bit. We're actually going to be selling our home soon.
Ooh.
How do you cover that one, Obi?
First thing I asked him was, "Oh, what's your time frame on that? Have you listed it yet? Have you talked to a real estate agent? Has it been appraised? Where are you at?" Because most of these people are just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I just come at them with facts like, "Oh, I understand. That's a really hard market right now. I don't know if you've been out there. Houses aren't selling like they used to. So some of the things that are going to make a bigger difference are going to be windows. Have you ever talked to an appraiser about what they look at?" "No, I have. I actually helped one with windows. The first two things they look at is your roof and then your windows. So it's going to be one of those things that's going to give you physical equity that's not going to diminish over time in the market, right?" I'm like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what we found. And we actually have a survey about it, and then I kind of get into what we talk about in the director script, which most coordinators wouldn't know. But if I was a coordinator on there, maybe what I would say is just ask them that question when they're looking at selling, because the time frame may not be right for us. You know what I mean? They may already have a contract on it. All right, you're not going to work for us then. Or, we're looking at selling and we've already got it listed and it's already been on there. We've already had a couple offers. Okay, well, how serious are those? Ask the questions and then get right back into what we're doing and why it builds value in it. We're going to increase the equity in your house, and this is equity that will last. It's not like the housing market that can fall or drop depending on the interest rates. You know what I mean? And that's really what's caused a problem right now out there in the housing market is the interest rate, where the windows are still worth what they were worth last year. They're worth more. You know what I mean? They're not going down in price. And that's something I always come up with in the appointments when I'm running them, is when people ask me that. I'm like, well, yeah, the housing market goes up and down, but windows are kind of like trucks. The truck's worth $80,000-$90,000 now. It's not going to go down. People are paying it. It's equity. It might flatten, but it's not going to go down.
Yeah. And
so, I mean, you can really get it. And again, confidence is key on that, because there will be people that tell you, "Well, you can't stand by that. There's no way." They're like, "Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I always tell everybody, the more prepared you are, the better off you are. I've done the research on it, and I've read through some stuff with different articles where real estate agents are talking about how people won't buy houses if they don't have energy efficient windows. That's things that they're coming in contact with, especially when you're like in our southern Utah area or down south, we're in Arizona and Nevada, stuff like that. It's huge.
Yeah, it's important. And you can tell when Obadiah talks about this stuff that he's done the research, that he's confident in that and he believes in it because it's true. But if all you're going off of is some hearsay, there's some of us that could do it and say it with some confidence, but there is a little bit of homework that's involved. If you want to be a professional, you want to be the best at what you do, there's some additional stuff that has to be done outside of working hours. Some research, some reading. There's all these things that you can do to help you gain more confidence and to understand the process a little bit better and to say some of these things because you have actually put the work in. You've read the articles. You've looked at the cost versus value report in Remodeling Magazine. You say something like that, you just rattle off a bunch of technical stuff that makes you seem like you know what you're talking about, because you do. But if you don't put in the work, these are hard questions to ask, and they're hard answers to give confidently if you haven't put in the work. So this is one of the resources that you have to be able to do that, is pause it, rewind it. Okay, what did Obi just say? Man, that was so good. Next time I run into that, I'm never going to get stumped by that again because I listened to this thing 75 times and practiced, drilled, rehearsed it. So I'm going to be prepared next time.
And something I also add to that, great to ask some questions, really figure out what the situation is. And then, say if they got another 6 months or another year or 2 years, well, at least you guys can live more comfortably in the home until then as well. Then you guys get all the equity out of it, makes the home a little bit easier to sell because it's energy efficient. These are Energy Star rated windows.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a nice facelift to the home. So say if your house is selling, the neighbors is selling, yours is energy efficient, you got these beautiful windows. Who do you think that whose house do you think they're going to want to buy?
Yeah,
especially in today's market where houses just aren't flying off the shelves like they were before.
You got a differentiator now. You got some additional curb appeal. And some people don't know about energy efficient windows, but that's why they have real estate agents. And if they're comparing two houses that are on the same street or within the same block, one of them has replacement windows, one of them doesn't. That's the difference between $1,800 a year in energy bills and $1,000 a year in energy bills. The same exact house. One of them looks a little better. One of them a little bit more energy efficient. Which one?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a word track I use a lot. This is mostly when I'm closing, but I'm like, are you familiar with staging? You know what I mean? You're still at home, you always do staging. So it's kind of the same thing, right? It's gonna make a big facelift to your home by installing these windows, right? So it's gonna be massive. And then another thing I wanted to point out is the simplicity when you're explaining these things. You're not going too far into ROI and this and that. I've seen a lot of coordinators try to sell the window at the door. You just keep it simple, right? You get past it and then you set the appointment.
Of course. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And even do some more, referring to the director. My director, he actually knows a lot more about that stuff than I do. So he'll be able to cover that, with you in the appointment as well. And then you just put it in the notes.
Mm-hmm.
So he's prepared.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's get another one going here, guys. I already have another project.
Oh, that's great. I mean, which one of us that owns a house doesn't have a project, right? If you have a wife, you always have a project going on, even if you're single. Home ownership is a continual project. But how many of those guys doing those projects for you can offer you a great service, great warranty, and a 50% off deal, right? Well, listen, this is what I'm doing. Get into script.
Yep. And something that I found a lot of success with is saying, well, they're at least on the list, right? Well, yeah, I mean, they're just down on the list. Well, hey, I mean, as long as they're on the list, least we could do is get in front of you guys, show you what we're doing, talk to you about the discount, talk to you about the opportunity. End of the day, if it's not a great fit, not a big deal. But, what time of day works better for you, mornings or evenings?
Yep.
It's simple as that.
And sometimes also that one thing they're not thinking about, they're so focused on their project right now, and their wife is hounding them about getting the kitchen started. So you ask them, like, how far into the project are you? Have you guys started ordering materials? Are you doing the kitchen? Are you doing the counters? Are you doing the floors? Are you just, updating the appliances? Because sometimes what can happen is if you can take advantage of an opportunity like this, where we're doing an advertising home and you're going to get 50% off, you guys are still going to do the windows, right? But next year, not only is inflation affecting those and they're going to continue to go up, but the chances of an opportunity like this for a 50% discount being available a year from now is pretty low also. So sometimes it can move it up on the priority list. Would you agree? And I don't know how many of those that I've set just by really simple word track like that and getting them to think about it a little bit. They haven't started the project. They haven't started ordering materials yet. They're not committed to it yet. So yeah, maybe you're right. That stuff ain't going anywhere. And maybe I could make sense of it if I can take advantage of an opportunity like this.
Beautiful.
Payments on there. Having the payment helps too, because you don't have to worry about it. Maybe you just came out 10 grand cash for your kitchen remodel. You know what I mean? Hey, look, I can get you new windows, and we're looking maybe $150 a month. I mean, obviously you're not gonna say that on the door,
right? But
I know that, and I can tell them like, well, what if I can get you a really low monthly payment that will pretty much offset with your utilities, and you don't have to worry about any of the hassle of doing it. Are you guys doing the remodel yourselves, or did you hire that out? Good question. If he's doing it himself, he doesn't have time for windows anyways, and it may take him 6 months to get that kitchen done.
Yeah.
Or however that works. So it's just more stuff you have, more ammunition, more different angles to come at it.
And another one that I would say is you'd be surprised how affordable we can make it for you. So even if you are doing the kitchen or the bathroom, you'd be surprised how affordable we can make it. And with the offset of the energy savings, sometimes depending on the house, we can completely offset your payment with the energy savings.
Yep.
That might not be the case anymore.
We've gone up a little bit.
They've gone up a little bit,
Mhm.
but that used to be the case. But there's all these little word tracks that you can use, and there's only so many of these that you're going to run into. And one of the things that I suggest also is that, dude, it sucks to run into the same objection and not know how to handle it over and over and over. That sucks. We've got all the materials, we got all the YouTube videos that you can imagine to be able to learn how to overcome objections. So if you continue to run into the same objection and not know how to handle it, that is your fault. On the other side of that, if you have this one objection you keep getting and you're intentional about it, you're putting in the work, now you start to build some confidence. Next time I get that, I'm going to know exactly how to handle it. And you get consistent, and now you're going to get another one. So slowly but surely, you start to chip away at all the rebuttals that you need in your tool bag to be able to pull out at any given moment. And then you start getting a new one, like, now I got a new one to focus on, because I am not going to get stumped on this one again. I'm going to take responsibility for it. And the next time somebody tells me that they still got to do their roof this summer, I'm going to know exactly what to say.
I think it's important too for the coordinators listening to this to understand that, like, there is not one option that's the right option for this rebuttal, right? To rebut this smoke screen they have. Sometimes it's multiple angles you'll have to take in order to get it. Sometimes, depending on who you're talking to, it could be this way or it could be that way, So if you're listening to this and you're trying to figure out what I should do, learn them all. Learn them all. That way, when you show up to a person, you've used it on this, when you see it goes with this personality, you immediately know without even thinking about it. As soon as I show up, I see it's bull, I'm going to say it this way. And you're not going to think about it. It just becomes second nature.
You start to get intuition.
Mm-hmm.
We've all heard Grant Cardone talk about it. You're so polished. You put so much effort in. You're becoming a professional that you start to get an intuition. You almost know what they're going to say before they even say it. And you're prepared, and you're present, and you're smooth, and you're confident. And it's just coming out all with the intention of helping this person and lead them down the path that makes the most sense for them. Because I don't care what the scenario is, whether they just got, they just had a wedding for their daughter, or they just replaced their roof last month. I don't care what it is. My mindset going into every single interaction with a customer is, this makes sense for you 100% of the time. And it's my responsibility to lead you down the path to help you understand that.
Yeah. And that's big, right? I mean, we're all professionals, right? Coordinator, closer, whatever it is, you got to do your homework. You got to keep training, right? You should have a whole arsenal of rebuttals for every single objection, right? If you're serious about your business and you want to grow within the company, you see all our top coordinators, they all do the same things, right? You listen to Drake, one of the newest ones.
Yep. That boy's on a roll. He's got his notepad out. He's taking notes. He's asking the questions. He's curious. He wants to know how he can get better. And watch the trajectory of this young man.
He was doing it the whole time. When he first started, I was out there running his appointments. Hey, man, what happened with that? What did they say? What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? This is what I did. Every single time, after every single appointment, I was like, this fool's on it, man. Like, nobody does that.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yep. Good things are going to happen to him because of it. So I encourage everybody to do that. Sometimes it's difficult to reach out and put yourself out there, but ask yourself, how serious are you about being here? How serious are you about becoming a professional and being able to level up your income and your skills and your confidence and the things that you're capable of doing with your life? We got all kinds of success stories here of people that came from backgrounds that weren't all that exciting and now have got futures for themselves and for them kids and their income capabilities that are just hard to even imagine. They're like storybook stuff. It's amazing. And if you want your life to be like that, you got to be intentional and you got to put in the work. And
got to take it serious.
Yourself out there. Take this.
Oh, shit. I lost you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
I was like, Dre just left, huh?
Dude, I was just, I was so inspired. My shit just took a shit. Wow.
I'm so inspired to start knocking right now.
Yeah, I'm like, it's good.
All right, Jared, why don't we finish off with one more? Leave everybody with
so
some.
let me see what a good one is. We got a couple good ones. I think because the next one is it's not the right time, but a lot of what we just talked about can kind of fit into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what a really good one would be is, I'm going to do it myself, or I know a guy.
Those are the worst.
Those are interesting. Yeah.
Yep. They're good ones.
Okay, so there's a mountain of things that you could use on this. Some of them work, some of them don't. And the one thing that I want everybody to remember here that's watching this is that we're not trying to do business with everybody. We attract a certain level of customer, a certain quality of customer, and there's a reason why that is. Because of who we are as a company and our own personalities and our own values. And there's some people that just aren't meant to do business with companies like us. They're going to end up penny pinching, and they'll get their cousin Melvin to do it for pennies on the dollar. And then they'll be complaining about it for the rest of their lives. Those aren't the kind of customers that we want anyways. But sometimes these people are just a little bit undereducated. They've got this perception of what it's going to take to do it that's just way skewed. And we're there as professionals, and we're prepared with some things to say to them that are going to change their perspective a little bit. So I know Obi's got something to say on this one.
Yeah. So I always, again, I want to know who I'm talking to, because there are those people that I absolutely do not want to give Windows to. Maybe we can sell them. Maybe we get them installed, but those are the guys that are calling every single time because the install wasn't done per their specifications. Mm-hmm. We don't install it like you. We install it professionally. You know what I mean? Sorry, that's just the way it is. So I always want to see how that is. What do you do? What do you do? Have you done Windows before? Have you installed them? Well, I did it before in a barn, or I did this. Okay. And then, if they're just regular, good, honest DIY guys that probably could do it on their own, mm-hmm. then I just want to hit them with, well, I get you, man. But like, wouldn't you rather have a great window installed professionally by other people who can get it done in a day? How long would it take you to install your 20 windows on your house? Well, even if you brought your family in to help you, do they know what they're doing? No, probably not. I'd bet that you're probably the best, handyman in the house, right? And right then I'm already kind of lifting him up. So yeah, actually I am. Right. So it would take you a long time. Even being as good as you are, it's going to take you a while. Let me send my professionals in there, and you're going to get a warranty that covers that, so you don't have to worry about it. A lot of these windows, if you buy them and install them yourselves, not being a window professional, you won't get the warranty with it. What happens down the road if something happens? The kid breaks the window. What are you going to replace it again? Are you just going to keep doing it, or would you rather do it once and then never have to do it again, right? Guys like us have been in construction for a while, and this is me talking to the guy. Yeah. Guys like us have been in construction for a while. We understand you measure twice, cut once. There's no reason to make mistakes. Let me help you out with this. Let me see what I can do. At least be open-minded to see what it would cost for us to get it done for you, because you're also not going to pay for labor and installation. That's part of the deal. So you're getting that for free. And then all of that just built up a ton of value into it. I've kind of tickled his ego a little bit about how great he is. At the same time, tried to make myself as a human, like I'm just like you. I've done construction my life too. And that way, I'm more relatable.
Absolutely.
That's how I typically handle those kinds of people.
Beautiful. Now, what about the I got a guy?
The big thing about got a guy is, I understand, man. I have a car problem that I've been trying to get fixed with my cousin. He's a mechanic. Guess what? It's still not fixed. That's the problem with using family, is that you're kind of put on the back burner. Even if he's a contractor, he has his own crew, he's going to give you a deal because you're his family, but he's not as worried about it because these are customers. He knows that you're always going to come back to him. Let me get you taken care of with people who will put you on the front burner. We care about what you're doing. We want to make sure you're happy. That's my job as a marketing guy. I'm not here to sell you windows. I'm here to help you and then bring a smile to your face so you tell everybody else about how great we are. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, well, that makes more sense. Usually, sometimes no.
Yeah.
Well, my guy works
for the right people.
Yeah.
But then also, for the wrong person, they don't care about the warranty. They don't care about the service after the sale or the reputation of the company. The only thing that they're considering is the price and how long it takes, and all that other extra stuff isn't a concern. But for the right person, if you can convey that message in the right way about getting it done right, getting it done timely, and being a priority instead of putting on the back burner, plus all the service after the sale and being supported by a company that's been around for 5 years, takes what we do very seriously. We're the highest rated company that does what we do. And you're going to take a chance on your cousin Melvin doing it for you. And who knows what kind of service or if they're ever going to help you afterwards. And, you know, maybe I don't suggest using cousin Melvin. I actually got in trouble for doing that one time.
I was there. It was funny. But yeah, it's something I tell them as well. And it's like, you know, it's not like you're going to leave your cousin a bad review, right? So, I mean, for us, you get white glove service. We want to give you everything we can give you to provide that 5-star service. Now, you're not going to probably leave your cousin a bad review. So part of that is just being on the back burner. You're just not a priority. That's just how it works, you know?
Yeah. And it goes back to asking questions, right? You know what I mean? Like, who is this guy? Like, is he one of your relatives, your brother, your cousin? Is he even in the States? I've had a lot of people who are like, I have a guy, but he's in Vegas. So he's not coming up to St. George anytime soon, dude. Right? This is what we're doing. We're here, right? We get this done right now. And then just, you don't even have to worry about it anymore. You're waiting for, you know, next summer till your cousin comes in town and maybe helps you. It's just going back to asking questions.
Yep. Yeah, important. Always asking the questions. And I think that's where all of us can improve, is sometimes you're just going through the motions and you're, you know, we're almost just looking for the laydowns. It's like people aren't always going to have been talking about the windows over breakfast. I just listened to a recording today that Kyle set an appointment with, and sometimes you will. Like she said, we were just talking about windows in the car ride last night. He's like, that's great. Slam dunk. But that's not always the case. And these are the reasons why we do these types of podcasts and these trainings. So you have the tools. Sometimes you're going to luck into those laydowns, but the majority of the time you're going to have to be prepared and have stuff that you've been working on to be able to overcome the smoke screens and the objections, and to keep asking the questions and not let a one smoke screen deter you from educating that customer a little bit from our perspective on why we bring so much value. And it makes sense 100% of the time. Doesn't matter how good you are at doing it or how good your cousin is at doing it. It makes sense 100% of the time to have us do it, especially with this advertising home opportunity. You got to believe it, and you got to have all those tools ready to deploy at any given moment.
And tell you what, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yep.
That's facts.
That's right, dude.
Luck favors
And
the
that's funny you say that, because when Jeff was saying that it was Kyle that ran into that, of course it's Kyle, because he's out there being our top coordinator the last couple months. You know, of course it's Kyle. He's taking it more serious than everybody.
Oh yeah,
sure is. Yep. And that's one of the things I left him in some feedback too. It's like, dude, you're on a roll right now. You got some great karma. You're so confident in the way that you talk to people and you're building rapport. And there is no way that you would have ran into that lady the way that you did if you didn't have all those things working with you. That was just barely talking about windows with her husband on the car ride on date night.
Yep.
Amazing.
hell yeah.
All right, gentlemen, let's wrap it up there. We will continue on with this series of training over the coming weeks. This has been amazing so far. Anybody who made it this far into the podcast, appreciate you. You are the ones that are going to reap the benefits of doing the work if you make it into a 30-minute podcast with all the notes and the intentionality about upping your game and becoming a professional in life, in sales, and as a freaking human being. So thank all you boys for being here. And until next time, we checking out.
All right, later, guys.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Later on.